There we go. Bingo. So we'd like to welcome everyone to our Thursday night podcast. We do this Team Evolve on Monday and Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern, and then across the country at 8 p.m. Central and 7 Mountain and 6 Pacific. If you haven't seen this, you're in for a treat. If you have seen this, you're still in for a treat. We got two amazing testimonials tonight. I mentioned to Laura, we have a young man on 12, soon to be 13, by the name of Eli, and he requested, just so you know, Superman to be on his podcast. So thank you for requesting me, Eli. I'm honored. And there are people that were brought to us by the Burr host, and that's a great dynamic duo there. Donna and Dr. Don, love them both, and building it up in Michigan. So we keep sharing this incredible product, and people keep getting results. And Eli is one that when Sherry told me, I'm just shaking my head thinking, oh my gosh, you mean a silly little patch that most of us didn't believe. I was there, has been life changing and changed this young man's life. So Sherry, what was it like with Eli? What happened? How long did it take? Your experience, please.
Yeah, so Eli was born with a very rare genetic disorder, and it wasn't found out until day 14 after he died. And when they brought him back, he had a lot of setbacks and complications through the entire journey of about a decade. So try to skip through all the hard parts. He started having seizures, and he had a stroke, memory loss, and he couldn't take one step instructions. He would have 15 vocal seizures a day, and he couldn't remember how some days to use a spoon, and he couldn't get dressed himself, unbutton his pants. I was taking care of him from sun up to sundown and remembering or reminding him how to do his daily routine every single day. And he couldn't get past preschool level, some kindergarten work for 7 years. I felt like I was living Groundhog's Day for 7 years, and I couldn't waver on his routine, or he would forget how to do the things I taught him the day before. And after his stroke, he really had a lot of regression, and he was going through about 50 diapers during the day, during the week. And his last doctor's appointment we had, he said, we've done everything we can think of, and he's going to be stuck at 4 years old mentally for the rest of his life. And I said, I don't accept that. And I kept praying and asking God to help me, because I broke my back, my spine, and I couldn't lift him anymore to change his diapers. So it was very, very difficult to get out in the community, have him enjoy being with his friends, because I just couldn't change him everywhere we went. And it was very hard. So I came up with a traveling changing table. I got that patent, a 20-year patent last week. And I met Dr. Don and Susan Verhulst. I actually met Susan at a business event sharing my invention. I was like super paralyzed to even go because my anxiety was through the roof. I've always lived with anxiety, paralyzing. I couldn't talk on Zooms or in front of people at all, or I would need a 2 or 3 day break because I would have a panic attack. But since patching, I have zero anxiety. I can get up in front of anybody, anytime and anywhere. That's so freeing for me. But when I met Susan, she told me about the patches, and I said, do you think this will help my son? And she's like, honestly, we don't know, because there's no studies done on children, but it is a parent's prerogative if they want to patch. And I said, I'm going to do, we've done everything else. What is one more thing? I honestly didn't believe it would work, but I had prayed over it because God led me to it for a reason and on purpose. And so I just kept getting that nudge that I had to do it. We found the finances, and only God showed up in that area, because we did not have 2 nickels to rub together, because his therapies were so expensive every single week. And then we had to buy all the medications and holistic care that we were doing. It just didn't add up financially how we could afford this, but God kept showing up over and over. In the past, we kept being able to afford them. And then Eli started sharing this technology 5 days in. And I want to tell you why he did that. because he had mental clarity and he could speak again. Before, if you were to talk to him, he could only take one step instructions, but he only could respond if you asked him a question, but it would take him 5 to 10 seconds delay. Eli, what's your name? And he'd sit there, awkward, and then say his name because it took him that long to process. It took him that long to communicate. And for him to come and say, hey, Mom, I have another person that wants to patch. And I said, what are you doing? I don't want to sell this. But it just kept happening over and over. Within the first 24 hours of patching, I noticed mental clarity coming back. His eye contact was coming too. And he started taking my one-step instructions and blowing me out of the water. Like he went and got the task I told him to do, and he completed it. I'm like, this is only 24 hours. I'm not going to tell Susan. I'm not going to jinx it. By day 5, he went from 50 diapers down to 5. And I'm like, okay. And then he unbuttoned his pants for the first time. And I have it on video. I sent it to Susan. That was day 2. And I said, look what Eli just did. I can't believe this. His fine motor skills. He's autistic. And there's some things in his brain that just don't connect the dots when he's trying to do tasks or hold a baseball bat or hold handles when he's riding on a bike and the balance is off, and he gets overstimulated very easily. So for him to be able to have that clarity come back in his eyes and focus on me, I'm like, what's going on? And within 6.
Hold on. That's day 2.
Day 2 and day 5, he had no hardly any diapers.
And that is what age?
He was 11.
11. Okay, so from all of his life, he's got the mentality of a 4-year-old all the way up to when you started patching him.
Correct. From age 4 until about 7 years, he was pretty stuck.
Had the stroke at age 4. I missed that part of it.
Nope, he had a stroke about age 9.
Okay, and what brought on the stroke? I've never heard of a child having a stroke.
We don't know.
Oh, and did the doctor not know?
They don't know anything. I mean, everything that we try to come up with, they said, we've tried everything. We don't understand. They just really didn't understand his brain. He wasn't making connections from his brain to his body to be able to tell him how to do, when to do, and what to do. It was super frustrating.
Wow. And then a couple of days, everything changed.
Yeah. And then within the matter of a few weeks, I started noticing the seizures because he was having 15 vocal seizures at least a day. And I noticed those getting less and less. And within 6 months, he had absolutely 0 seizures and no medication given.
Wow.
Yep. And
hold on. What would a vocal seizure be? He just couldn't talk, or he'd mumble, or
he would just space out and sometimes turn white as a ghost, and then he would forget how to do things, and he would look at things like it was a foreign object.
Yeah.
And he would do that multiple times a day, and some days he would need 3-hour naps.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And you had terrible back pain from your physical injury.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah, I broke my spine in my early 20s.
Hang on, and the patch helped you too.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so double whammy here. All right, go ahead. So I just wasn't. Yeah. Thank you.
And then after 6 months in, we noticed like small changes with his academics. He started grasping a pencil better, and he could write. And he started writing sentences and things he would watch on TV. Like on his school, he would just start writing word for word what it was, and he'd come and show me things. I'm like, oh my gosh. And last week he went into another work book for a 2nd grade.
And he had been on 1st grade for several years.
No, preschool.
Preschool.
Kindergarten level for 7 years. He was
same level.
Stuck. Yeah. And so most days, I mean, for him to do flashcards and remember ABC, 1, 2, 3, shapes, colors, numbers. Yeah. Sometimes it was new to him. Yep.
Wow, what a change, all of that. And what does the doctor say, or they're just baffled by it too?
Yeah, one of his specialty doctors, unfortunately, before we got to see him again, he retired. That was all through COVID. So we didn't really get to see any of the ones that we were currently seeing, but we did get to see one of his nurses, and she is just floored. She's patching too, but
Oh,
yeah.
I would think so, after, what's going on here. But again, I've never heard of a child with a stroke and to be told your son is always going to be this age for the rest of his life mentality. That's a huge pill to swallow.
Yeah.
And you prayed and what you weren't going to accept it, which is really the right thing in my mind to do. And then Susan and Don Verho show up and say, "Hey, I got something." There's no clinical testing on children, so we can't tell you either way. It's a parental decision, obviously, just like pregnant women and women who breastfeed, no clinical test. So this has been quite a game saver, life changer for you and Eli.
Yeah, and Eli loves to share this and go everywhere with me. Eli, what's your favorite patch?
X39 and Eon.
Yeah, and what are you most excited about with the patching? What has it done for you?
It has helped me ride a bike without training wheels.
And what else? What
Um,
else can you do? You can come up with an invention.
mhm.
Tell them about that.
I came up with a robot invention, and it flies around and all over the world and delivers patches to people.
That's awesome. Go, Eli.
He's an inventor like David Schmidt, it sounds like.
Yeah, he said he wants to be an inventor like David Smith and meet him and shake his hand and say, "Thank you for saving my life."
Oh,
Well, I definitely think that can be arranged.
yeah. Wow. Wow,
Yeah.
wow, wow. So happy for you guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
Yeah.
for coming on and
Thank
sharing
you.
this. This is one I'll remember.
Yeah. Thank
Oh.
you, guys.
Thank you.
So, disclaimer or no?
Just keep going.
Okay. All right.